Hey guys, Peter Gosling, welcome back to another cutting tutorial. As you can see today, we're gonna be working on some curly hair. All right, and the reason we wanna work on curly hair on this model is because we want you to see the difference between working with straight hair and something that's a little bit curly or wavy. All right, now when working with this texture, we have to be very mindful, and I'm gonna take you through a couple tips and tricks that will help us gauge how this hair is gonna actually style. Because the reality is once water hits this texture, the curl is gonna become tighter and it's going to move in different directions, okay? So we have to be very mindful when we're working with this hair versus something that's a little bit straighter, okay? Now in saying that, you can see I've stretched all this hair out, right? And what I'm looking for is the overall silhouette of the shape, okay? And I can kind of see that we definitely have more of a rounder shape right now, and I'd like to bring something a little bit more classic and masculine back, okay? So we'll probably be working through something on the sides, maintaining length on top, okay? And then cleaning up around the ears and the sides. All right, but again, the reality is I want to be very mindful because if we go too short, that curl might retract too much. And if we're working on real people, it might go too short for the client or the guest, okay? So once again, we're gonna take you through an amazing curly hair tutorial, and I hope you guys learned something. Okay, perfect, so we've gone through and we've done our scalp analysis and a shampoo, and the reality is, you can see the hair has changed quite a bit, all right? As I comb and brush the hair backwards, you can see that we've stretched out those curls, right? But just to show you, if I go and I scrunch the hair, you can see those curls are gonna come back, right? So this is what I'm being very mindful of cutting this texture, all right? I kind of want you to imagine while working with curly hair, you're going to take length, all right? But you're always gonna sort of leave a little bit longer just in case, because you wanna sort of guesstimate where that hair is gonna sit, right? If you go through and cut too much, again, it might go too short, right? So this is Greg, our model. When we went through our consultation, he was very happy with the length on the top, okay? But obviously it was feeling quite round on the sides. So we're gonna work through the sides, okay? We're gonna clean up the back, and we're probably gonna leave quite a bit of length throughout the front here, but we'll probably leave some density and bulk in the back. Again, what we wanna be doing is we're building our house, right? So we're building our structure throughout the sides and then throughout the back, and then we're gonna work on the roof on top, okay? We need that structure throughout the sides because these are our walls and this is the roof or the ceiling, and we need structure for our ceiling to sit on, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna quickly section it out, and then we're gonna start the haircut. Just gonna spin Greg around here, as you guys can see, in our sectioning pattern, okay? Nothing too intense or difficult. The only thing that I've done is I've dropped it down a little bit to the natural hair fall. Okay, so this is where the crown is, okay, or the growth pattern, and I'm just sectioning in that area so that all this hair naturally wants to fall in those directions, okay? If anything feels like it doesn't belong there, resection and apply it to whichever zone you think it should be in, okay? Now, in saying that, sometimes it can be difficult because there might be double crowns, all right? So take your time, as this is usually the hardest part of my sectioning, okay, or what we call our blueprint or haircut mapping, okay? So, as you can see, very, very simple. We have our sides and we have our top sectioned off, all right? Now, let's be very mindful as we go through this haircut, all right? If this hair, while we're cutting here, is wet, and this haircut, the hair on the side is starting to dry, we're gonna have problems because we're gonna have inconsistencies. So we have to be very mindful of our moisture control throughout the haircut, all right? So you will see me using a lot of water, okay, as I'm going through the haircut, because again, just to remind you, if this is completely wet and this is starting to dry on the opposite side, okay, all right, what's gonna happen is we're gonna have an inconsistent cutting line, all right, because something will be stretched out or something might be a little bit wetter, okay? So once again, be very mindful. You'll be seeing me using a lot of moisture as I work through the haircut, okay? Perfect. So what technique do you think we should be using? All right, if you guess cross graduation, amazing. That's exactly what we're gonna be doing. And the reality is because we want something coming back off the face, all right? And the reality is the best way to do that is to use our cross graduation so that we can bring this softly around the ears, okay, but as well as off of the face, all right? This is not a forward haircut. We're gonna be wearing it backwards, okay? So let's focus on using our cross-graduated method, all right? So once again, okay, we've saturated the hair. The saturation is not only for the consistency, it's also for helping us with grooming, okay? As you can see, this is helping me groom the hair in the direction that I want, because this is the way we're gonna be taking our sections, okay, as we work in throughout the back. Okay, so again, moisture consistency is very, very important, okay? So let's get started, all right? Once again, I'll just show you. I'm going to lightly spritz my cutting areas, all right? And we're gonna get started on our haircut, all right? So we're gonna be working a little cross graduation. As you can see, I've tilted the head away from me. Just makes my life a little easier. And I'm taking my first diagonal section, nice and clean. Okay, I'm gonna bring my comb underneath and scoop that hair into my comb. And I'm going right tight to the head. Scoop underneath once again, right tight to the head, taking that sideburn right off, okay? So that's our first section. Second section coming just behind the ear, nice and clean once again, combing that down. I say this in all the videos. If the section is not clean, do not move on, because what I'm doing is mimicking this line, okay? So again, we have to work extremely clean, all right? Lifting that comb up, I can see my guide, taking that length off. And it's okay, take your time. Don't worry about rushing a haircut, okay? Especially if you're learning or you're starting, take your time, spread out enough time in your schedule or your day. Let your models know as well, hey, listen, this is gonna take a little longer than expected because I'm new to this, or I'm practicing new techniques, okay? So always line your people up so they know they might be sitting for a while, okay? Again, so there's our first two sections. I'm gonna bring this section all the way down right behind the ear, okay? Nice and clean. Okay, and as you can see, if the hair has been groomed nicely, all right, that stuff is not gonna be in the way, okay? So once again, I'll show you. I'm gonna bring this all the way down, okay? And I'm slightly gonna comb that stuff out of the way, and as you can see, I have a nice clean section, all right? So our first two sections I combed underneath, because that's what I was working with my length. Now, I'm happy with that length. I'm gonna comb over onto my guide so I can start to build up that weight, okay? Lifting up here, there's that guide. And there's not too much coming off, but enough coming off that we're placing in that new shape. And as you can see, working with curly hair, it's a lot more challenging, all right? Because the hair wants to retract within your fingers. Okay, just coming underneath in this section to get this stuff off. Okay, and following that all the way into the back. All right, beautiful. All right, again, grooming the hair in the way that I want it to be cut. Again, all the way into the back. Okay, gonna hold the hair, gonna comb it up. I can see my guide underneath. Slowly take that off. Same thing, slowly take that off. Okay, working my way all the way to the back. And as you can see, my fingers are quite tight to the head, okay, because I want this nice and tight, all right? And as you can see, I have this extra length here, but this is actually starting to sit quite nicely, okay? And eventually you'll see a nice weight line sitting out throughout this area, okay? Now, once again, my hair is almost getting too dry for my liking. I'm gonna spray it down again. Again, this really helps with getting my clean sections, okay? Tilting the head. Nice clean section. There's my guide. And working all the way into the back. Okay, spinning the model around, working all the way into the back. Okay, and I'm constantly spinning the client and I'm constantly grooming the hair to make sure it's sitting how I want it to sit, okay? Once again, you can see that beautiful weight line sitting in there and it's nice and clean around the ears, okay? So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna work into the round of the head here, all the way crossing into the back. Once again, working with nice, clean, disciplined sections, okay? I'm gonna work salon speed now. Okay, so just follow along step by step. Section, look for that guide, and cut. Okay, if you notice there's not too much coming off in the back, don't worry. We're gonna be working with our clippers anyways. And again, section. All right, you can comb, look for that guide. Beautiful. Cool, ready? Perfect, so we've completed the first side, all right? And as you can see, once again, as I comb that, we have a beautiful weight line sitting in there. So imagine this is what your roof is gonna sit on, and that's what we're gonna connect it to, okay? We don't have to worry about so much this here, okay? We're gonna be working with a little clipper work, doing something nice and clean to give them that professional image, okay? But at the same time, I'm building up that strength, okay? And that structure in throughout the parietal area, okay? So once again, you can see very nice weight line in throughout here, and as I groom it back, the hair is long enough that once I blow dry, it's gonna push back, okay? So, like I said, don't worry about the back here. We're gonna be working on some clipper work to get that off, okay? What we're gonna do is we're gonna move to the other side now, all right? Now, what is happening to the other side as I cut the previous side? If you guessed that it's drying, you are right, okay? So we have to be extremely mindful once again. This is probably not saturated similar to the first side. Okay, so what we have to do, let's grab our water once again and let's just spritz it down, okay? If you notice you're using a lot of water and there's water running down your client's face, okay, or down their neck, just grab a towel, pat them down, make them feel comfortable, okay? Now, the exact same thing we're gonna do is we're gonna work with our cross graduation. I'm just gonna tilt his head off to the side, okay? Take that first section behind the ear, okay, nice and clean. Okay, if you don't get a clean section, do it again, nice and clean, beautiful. Now, where do I get my length from the first side to match the other side, okay? Well, we can do a couple things, and I know we've talked about it in the past, but I know that I went to fingers length, okay? I know that my fingers were tight to the head, so I know that I can use that as my guide, all right? So again, I'm just gonna comb straight underneath here, picking this guide right up, and I'm going right tight to the head, and whatever's there is coming off. Okay, and that's what's setting me up for my guide. All right, but notice, once again, our fingers, our position is different and pointing to the ground. Okay, on our first side, our fingers were pointing up. This side, our fingers are pointing down because we need to follow the head shape all the way into the back, okay? And it would be impossible for us to get that angle by working this way, okay? So once again, we're working palm to palm, okay? Our palms are facing each other, all right? And fingers are pointing to the ground, all right? Okay, just cleaning that up, but it's looking quite nice to me. Okay, I'm just gonna check my balance, and it's looking pretty good. Okay? My cross graduation is crossed into both sides, okay? And once again, we have that nice weight line throughout here that's gonna help us establish our roof, okay? Once again, don't worry about the stuff around the ear. We're gonna clean that up with some clipper work, okay? So, beautiful, we are done and completed both sides. Perfect, so we've worked through both sides. If there's hair on your client or your guest or your friend, make sure we're cleaning them off, okay? As you can see, there's also some hair on his face. People don't want to sit there feeling uncomfortable. Let's just get whatever we can out of the way, all right? This is also important because we don't want debris, okay, or excess hair in the way, all right? Obviously, we don't want to get confused. And again, it's all about working clean. Once you sort of decide in your head that you're going to work disciplined and clean, you're going to find that your life is much easier, all right? So, like I said, we've completed both sides, sitting absolutely beautiful, all right? Let's work throughout the top. Right? Now, like I said, working throughout the sides might not be as detrimental as focusing on the curl as it is on top, okay? Because this is where we really want to retain length. We were eliminating length through here and building our structure, so I didn't mind taking it short, okay? Because once we blow dry it or diffuse it, we're really going to see how it sits, and I'm not too concerned about this going too short. This is the area that I have to be mindful of, right? And I'm going to show you the elasticity, okay, while we work through this haircut of what can happen with curly hair, okay? So let's get started. I'm just going to remove this clip and I'm going to put it in my first section. Okay, so we're going to be working with our profile guide on the vertical axis, okay, coming from the coronal or the apex or the crown area, and we're going to be working from the back to the front, okay? But this is what I really wanted to show you quickly, okay? When it comes to curly hair and we're picking this hair up, all right, and I'll just use this section for example right now. As I pull this up, yes, I'm pulling it nice and straight. There's a lot of tension there, but if I let it go, you can see that the hair wants to curl, okay? So say I want to take an inch off, right? But I'm really putting a lot of tension on that hair. If I go and cut that, I might be taking more, okay? Because the way the hair wants to fall is it's gonna retract because it's curly, all right? And this is where we can get into some trouble, okay? Is because the hair is a different density, okay? So let's be very mindful. I'm gonna probably take about an inch, okay? But when I take that inch, it'll probably look shorter than it is, okay? And the reason being is, once again, I wanna retain length, and it's very common that we go in and we cut too much off of curly hair because of the elasticity. It's gonna retract, okay? So you always need to sort of overcompensate when cutting curly hair. Unless, of course, they really want it short, then you're good to go. But for the most part, let's just be mindful of what we're taking off. Perfect. So, gonna be working on our first section here, all right? I'm gonna take my cross graduation from the back, and I'm gonna be working with a square shape, and all I'm gonna do is bring that straight off the back of the head there, and I'm just taking that length right off. Okay, and this is gonna set me up for my guide for the rest of the haircut, okay? So here we are, I'm gonna use my cross graduation in the back, okay? And I'm just gonna bring this straight up off the head, okay? There's not too much coming off, and I'm just gonna connect that in, okay? Now this is now setting up my guide for the rest of the haircut, all right? Because I'm gonna look for that shortest piece, and I'm just gonna follow something square to the front, okay? So I'm not gonna take all that hair in one go, okay? And I'm combing towards me right now, just bringing that straight up, looking for that shortest piece. Okay, next section. Okay, and removing that, because I know that I've cut that already. Okay, and I'm just gonna add to this, all right? And imagine we're just connecting the dots the whole way to the front. Okay, so I've worked with something square in there, but I want to retain some length in the front here. So all I'm going to do is make sure his head is tilted up, okay? And I'm just going to change my finger position to something triangular. Okay, so my fingers are pointed to the apex, and I'm just taking that corner off, okay? All the way up. There might not be anything coming off, and that means because I'm happy with the length in the front. So I'm removing the bulk and the density within the back, okay? So what we'll have is we'll have something square like that that'll go triangular, okay? And that's gonna give us that beautiful little bit of disconnection, all right? That's gonna have the length in the front that he can play with, but he loses the density and the bulk of the back, okay? So we've put in our profile guide. Let's just work zone to zone. So this is zone 1, okay? And this is zone 2. All right, I'm gonna work in zone 1 first. Everything's coming to the previous because we're gonna be focusing on our shape over here as well, which is also gonna be square, okay? All right, so we'll be square on our vertical axis and we'll be square on our horizontal axis, okay? And then we're gonna do a nice blow dry, all right? But like as you can see, I've clipped this side off because I'm not gonna touch that. I'm gonna pull this clip out, put it on my sleeve, all right? Here's my guide, all right? I'm just gonna push that over to this side, okay? All right, and now I'm gonna work section by section by section by section, but everything to the preview. Everything's coming up nice and square, straight up off the head, looking for that guide. There it is right there, straight across. Okay, removing that, we've already cut that. Okay, adding to my section, make sure the head is nice and up straight, okay? Because if he's tilting his head, it can change the cutting shape. All right, once again, straight across, removing that out of the way. And then this last section here, all we're gonna do is point our fingers to the apex, just retaining some length in the front, okay? So once again, let's remove any hair that we've already cut, which is our guideline, okay? And we can comb that over very neatly. Okay, clip that away. Yep. And now we're gonna move on to our next section. All right. Okay, tilting the head towards me. Yeah. All right, and here we go. Next section. Working nice and clean. Don't need to bring all that hair with me. Straight across, looking for that guide. Nice and clean. Okay, if you're not getting all your hair in one go, make sure you're scooping it up. Beautiful. Straight up, looking for that guide. You can see that shortest point right there. Awesome, removing that out of the way. And then the last thing I'm gonna do, once again, tilt my fingers towards the apex, triangular. Beautiful, okay? Exact same thing, probably 2 more times. Okay, I'm gonna work salon speed here. I'm not gonna be talking as much. Okay. Making sure we're getting that last section in there. Okay, spinning him around so you can see from behind me here. Coming straight up, nice and clean. Straight up, nice and clean. Last section, triangular. Beautiful. Okay, simple as that. One side is completed. All right. And as you can see, the wave and the curl is starting to come out. All right, but we're gonna be focusing on that when we get to our styling portion, okay? So where's our profile guide? All right, does everyone remember? Exactly, right in the middle, okay? So all we're gonna do is go back to our middle section. Okay, we know that we've cut this, all right? So let's work really nice and clean. We can clip this off, right? As you get faster, as you get quicker, you might not be using clips, okay? But right now is probably a good idea, just so you're working nice and clean, okay? Next section, all the way to the back. Gonna spin it around, okay? Combing this excess down. Here's our next section. The only difference is, what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be combing away from ourselves to focus on our over direction, okay? If we're combing towards ourselves, once again, we have to be mindful what's gonna happen, okay? We're gonna change our horizontal shape, okay? So let's separate that. Combing it straight up, nice and clean. Beautiful, okay? I'm gonna remove that little cutting clip there, and the top is now complete. Perfect, so we've done our haircut, we've done the brunt of our work, okay? We did a little bit of demolition, all right? And we've restructured the top, all right? Now I'm gonna go through with my TechniArt Bouncy and Tender, and this is a cream and a gel. And I love this product a lot because it's not heavy, all right? In curly hair, I definitely don't wanna make it greasy, okay? So I'm gonna use a little bit of a gel that's gonna have hold, but the cream is gonna stop it from frizzing. Now, when we're blow drying curly hair, okay, you might notice it might start to expand, okay, and it might start to look like a tennis ball fuzz, okay? If that's happening, you need to re-wet the hair down, okay, and you need to go back through and do your blow dry correctly, okay? And I'm gonna take you through the steps of blow drying curly hair, okay? So just to show you here, all right, I'm not gonna use too much of this product once again, all right? And you really wanna push it from the middle here because there's cream in here surrounded by a gel, and I wanna make sure that I get both. So that's all I'm really using. I'm going to emulsify this in my hands, all right? Working it all the way through, and I'm not applying it on the scalp, I'm just raking it through the hair with my fingertips. I want the product on my fingertips, not on my palms slapping the hair, okay? So I'm just raking, okay, and really just working it through the mid shaft and the ends, okay? We don't really want to put a ton of buildup of product in men's scalps, okay? We just really want to get it through the hair, all right? And as you can see, I'm just raking it through, okay? If you have excess on your hands, don't worry, get a towel, wipe it off, okay? So that's our product application. Let's get started on our blow dry. Done our product application, I'm gonna move in with my styling brush or my vent brush, okay? I'm gonna smooth the sides out, but I'm gonna be doing probably a different blow dry on top. Okay, so let's start with our smoothing, and then I'm gonna show you what we're gonna do afterwards. I'm not gonna talk through the blow dry, I just want you to watch, okay? And I'll stop if I need to explain any of the techniques that I'm working with. But this is why we are called hairdressers or hairstylists, because what I'm doing right now is I'm dressing the hair, okay? And I'm manipulating the hair in a position that I want it to be. That's why we call it styling, okay? There's hair cutting and then there's hair styling. We've already done the haircut, let's move into the style process. Now, in saying this, something I left out that I wanted to make sure that this is very clear, we work very ergonomically and we work smart. Never work smarter than harder. Now, we started our haircut on this side, so it's more likely that this hair is dry. Okay, so it's gonna be easier to dry opposed to the top or the other side, right? So as this has started to dry, okay, it's easier to get it drier, all right? So we're always gonna start on the side that we cut for the most part. Perfect, so that side is completely dry, okay? When I notice that that side's completely dry, I then know I can move on to my other side. Do not start drying and then look at it, and if it feels like the density is still a bit damp, do not move on until it's dry, because you're just gonna be moving all around the head. It's gonna become time consuming, okay? So focus on getting one side dry, okay? So I'm gonna go to this side, I'm gonna work to the other side, and then we'll focus on the back, okay? So I'm gonna spin Greg around here, all right? Exact same method. So as you can see, I really get into my blow dry, okay? You'll notice as I'm working, I'm almost having this sort of dance-like motion, okay? I really get into my blow dry because I really want to manipulate the hair in the direction that I want it to go. You'll also notice that if I want the hair to go back, again, I'm blow drying in the direction that I want the hair to go, okay? If we're blow drying the hair in the opposite direction, it's not gonna sit how you want it, and you're gonna run into problems. So once again, you can see I'm quite fluent with the blow dry, okay? Like I said, it's a bit of a dance. I have a rhythm to it. And once you sort of find that rhythm, you know, and you're following your systems, you're gonna find that it's so much easier to be effective and efficient and getting a service done quicker. Cool, so we're gonna move on to the back. We've dried both sides, all right? And I'm just gonna work from the top to the bottom. Okay? Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be brushing to one side and brushing to the other side. And the reason being I'm doing this, it's called wrap drying. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to get the root flat, okay? And the reason being is because I want something a little bit smoother in the back to do my detailing or personalizing, okay? As I might be doing something a little bit different on the top, okay? So you'll see me brushing to one side, changing hands, and brushing to the other side. Now, in saying that, it's very good to be, it's very good to utilize both hands. I can blow dry with both hands. Okay, so you gotta kind of train yourself at home to be able to switch over, all right? As you'll find it a little bit more ergonomic and better for your body posture. Beautiful, now the back is dry, okay? So there's a couple things that we could do right now, and this would come down to your consultation. I would ask Greg, hey, would you like to see something smoother today, or would you like to see your natural curl? I'm actually gonna show you both. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna blow this out completely straight to show you what the first look would look like, but I'm actually gonna probably style it curly today, okay, because I like leaving people with their natural, but you never know. Someone might be going to an event, they might wanna change their hairstyle up. It's always important to be versatile, and right now what I'm gonna do is I'll smooth this out for you so you can see, okay, but most likely at the end of this actual haircut, we'll probably go to the natural form, okay? So we've gone through and we've done our blow dry. We started on this side, worked to the other side, worked to the back, and then we completely dried the top. As you can see, I did something a little bit smoother, but this is not ideally how I would do this. The only reason that I've actually smoothed this out right now is because if we just went through and diffused it, I wouldn't be able to do any personalizing or texturizing, because once that curl goes tight, it's very hard to extend it and texturize and then not make the hair frizzy. So this is why curly hair sometimes can be a little bit more, have a little bit more longevity to the actual style or the cut, okay? Because I'd rather go through, make sure the haircut's perfect, and then restyle, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through, we're gonna do some scissor work and clipper work, and then we'll go back through and we'll restyle, okay? Perfect, so let's just get into some texturizing. All I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back to my original sectioning, okay? And as you can see, I have this weight line sitting in here, okay? So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna comb underneath there, okay? I'm gonna tap, and I'm just breaking up my cutting line. Just softly, just on those ends there, just to break it up. Okay, I'm not going too deep. I'm just slightly, lightly breaking up those cutting lines, okay? And as you can see, there's probably some in the back here. There's a little bit of bulk in here, okay? Once again, just going underneath there and just point cutting that bulk out. Beautiful, all right? Now we can work through the top, all right? Similar to what we've done in past tutorials as well. I'm just gonna go through, and all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring in a center part here, and I'm just gonna work side to side, okay? And you'll see as I bring it up, all right, because the hair's a little straighter right now, we're gonna have very, very square cutting lines, all right? So all I'm gonna do, once again, break up these cutting lines. I don't want anything too aggressive, too bulky, okay? Okay, so we're ready for our clipper work. So we've gone through and we've done a little bit of personalization with our scissors. Okay, we're gonna move on to our clipper work now, okay? Now, I'm really loving how this is sitting, okay? It's classic, but at the same time, if I go and put in a really nice skin taper, it's gonna make it look really professional, edgy, and have a little bit of a twist to it, okay? So I feel like I'm really happy with this. There's enough structure here to keep that roof on. Okay, and once we diffuse this on top, it's gonna look beautiful. So I'm only gonna go with my number 3, okay? And what I'm actually gonna start to do is I'm just gonna go with the grain, okay? It's not often that you'll see this, okay? But all I'm doing is just kind of taking out a little bit of weight, all right? Because I'm happy with the length, all right? Now, this is a very, very tricky trick, okay? You can start with the clipper actually open, all right? All right? And you can see as I go with the grain, you know, not too much is coming off. But if I close the guard, you might be able to see some more is coming off, all right? Now, if you go against the grain, you're gonna take the hair off, all right? I'm just lightly dusting it through with a 3 open, right? And then to my 3 closed, just to take some of that bulk out, okay? Because again, I'm really happy with that scissor work. It's sitting really nice and clean. Okay, I've got a lot to work with there, all right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna spin it around, show you on this side, the exact same thing, okay? All right, we've got our number 3 clip, as you can see, and I put that on there. Make sure you hear it snap, all right? And I'm gonna start with it open, okay? And I'm just gonna come with the grain. Okay, if you notice that not too much is coming off or not enough for your liking, you can close the clipper. And again, it's just taking a little bit of weight out there, and you can see it on the cape there, all right? But I don't want to do that too much, all right? It's just to take a little bit of weight out, and now I'm going to go through with my number 3. All right, and I'm just gonna start the taper in the back here, okay? I'm already happy with the length throughout the sides. I'm just gonna take that down to skin, okay? But I'm gonna start my number 3 in the back here, all right? I'm just gonna tilt his head forward. I'm gonna actually open the number 3 and slowly start to remove that bulk. Okay, I'm gonna close my number 3 now. Okay, I had it open. I'm gonna close it now, all right? And I'm just gonna work underneath that, slowly taking this length off. Okay, and if you notice that there's no more length coming off, obviously we need to go to a shorter guard, okay? I'm gonna bring this right down to the wood, okay, because I think it's gonna look really sharp, all right? And let's make sure we're cleaning off our client. So again, working to our number 2 clip, okay? Always make sure you hear it clip, okay? If it doesn't clip and that guard comes off, you're in trouble, okay? That means someone's getting a skin fade, all right? So again, we know that this is a number 3. I'm gonna work to my number 2 open and just work my way down. Okay, if you're struggling with your clipper work, you can always place your 3 fingers holding your comb and hold the actual head, because it's sometimes easy to manipulate the head, okay? So don't be afraid to touch your client or your guest, okay? And you can also ask them politely, do you mind looking down at your shoes or the floor so you can get into this nape area? Because if they're sitting up straight and you're trying to do this clipper work, it can be very difficult. So manipulate them, not your body, okay? We want to protect our body, okay? They only have to sit here for 45 minutes, okay? We have to do this for 10 hours a day. So as you can see, we have different growth patterns here. This hair is growing up and around. This hair is growing around and down, okay? So if you're not getting the hair, then you have to come at it at the angle that the hair is actually growing. You might actually have to come down on it as well, all right? Beautiful, okay? So I've debulked, right? I have a nice clean canvas here. All I'm gonna do now is go and put in my balding line, okay? Awesome. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a skin taper, okay? We're gonna do a nice, beautiful skin taper in throughout the front and in the back. So it has that edgy feel to it, but it's still a classic look, okay? You'll find a lot of guys really love this, okay? Because the taper will last a lot longer than just squaring somebody off. All right, as much as I love squaring someone off if they're working in business or they need something conservative, the taper will give them an extra week or so, okay, before the hair starts to grow in again, okay? So all we're gonna do, we're just gonna apply our balding line. Okay, and I'm just gonna match that to the back, okay? Okay, and as you can see, I'm not going too high. You don't wanna go take it too high. I'm just bringing it to about this part of the ear. Okay, and if you want, you can go and clean around the ear just to make sure, just to start there. You're not adjusting it too much, okay? But that's where our skin taper starts. I'm just gonna follow that line all the way to the back. Okay, I'm not going too high with the taper, okay, because we want to make sure that we can blend from our number 3 into our 0 here, okay? And once again, you can see I might have to come at it a different couple ways here just to make sure that that's nice and smooth. Beautiful, so our taper lines are now in there, okay? We've put in our skin borders, okay, for where we're gonna be doing our tapers, okay? And we know that this is a number 2, so all we're gonna do is we're gonna work down in our taper, okay? So we started with our number 2, we actually started with our number 3, and then we moved to our 2 and we're working down our guard system. So I'm actually gonna go and I'm gonna work with my number 1 now, okay? This is my number 1 guard, all right? And I'm gonna start with it open. Okay, as you can see, the lever that's closed, that's open. I'm gonna start with it open, and I'm gonna start to erase this line, okay? I've moved to my fade brush because it's much easier to eliminate debris, okay? So once again, I'm just gonna start in the middle here, and I want you guys to kind of look at this as zones. So this is zone 1, this is zone 2, and this is zone 3. I don't try to go the whole way along. I'm gonna work one area, fade it, and then move to the other side, okay? Okay, so that's my 1.5. I'm just gonna slightly close the clipper now, not the whole way, and just work on that line. Okay, and now I'm gonna close the clipper completely. And as you can see, compared to this line here and that line there, it's starting to fade away, okay? So the last step we're gonna do, so I'm gonna take my number 1 off, I'll leave my number 1 there, okay? And I'm gonna go to my open guard, all right? And I'm gonna attack it with the corners here. Okay, I'm gonna slightly close the guard again and just slowly rub on that line. And I'm gonna completely close it. And I'm gonna use my mirror for reference, and that's looking absolutely beautiful. Okay, as you can see, it's sometimes much easier to work in sections opposed to doing the whole thing. Okay, right? And if there's inconsistency with some of the scissor work, don't worry, we'll go through, we'll clean that up afterwards, okay? All right, so again, you can see we have the brunt of this line here. I'm gonna go back to my number 1, okay? Number 1 open, the guard goes on, all right? But I'm gonna tilt his head to the side because A, I want the light, okay? And B, I wanna make sure that he's in the right position for me to attack the hair and get at the hair the right angle, okay? Okay, I'm gonna slowly close it again. Okay, close it all the way. Okay, always removing the debris. Okay, I'm gonna remove my number 1, tuck it in the cape there. Okay, I'm gonna close it a little bit. Close it all the way. Beautiful, eliminated that line. Okay, it's looking great. Now, in saying that, if you eliminate the line, okay, and then there's still blemishes or imperfections, it's okay. Sometimes it's better to take a step back, look at your canvas, and then you can go and do touch-ups, okay? So let's just get the brunt of the line away, and then we'll go back through and refine, okay? Perfect, so I've worked the middle and the other side. I'm gonna work this last side salon speed, and you can see how I would work, okay? So beautiful, we've done our taper on the back. We're just gonna work to the sides now, okay? We still have to go around and clean around the ear, but we're gonna add that professionalism and that nice clean touch on the sides here, okay? So I'm just gonna tilt again to the light. I got my number 2 here. Just gonna work just above the ear a little bit with that number 2, taking out that bulk. Okay, and now that I've cleaned that area, I'm just gonna work with my number 1 down to the skin once again. Okay, just gonna open up my number 1. I'm gonna tilt the head, okay, and I'm gonna leave my comb there because I don't wanna go too high, and start to slowly remove that line. Beautiful. Nice clean taper. All right, what we do on one side, we'll work to the other side. So, beautiful, okay? We've worked our taper on one side, we're just gonna work it to the other. We've cleared our canvas, we're just gonna go back in with our number 1 and slowly erase that line. As you can see, I'm being very gentle, okay? I'm not killing them with the clipper, okay? All right, then I'm just gonna close the guard, go down to the number 1, and you can see that there's that last little blemish there. I'm just gonna rub the clipper on that line. Take that number 1 off, leave that in the guard there. Just coming at it with my corners. Slightly closing again. All the way. The last thing I'm gonna do, so I'm just gonna grab my 1.5 guard, okay? Sometimes certain clippers come with what we call security guards, and I'm just literally gonna touch up in a couple areas just for the density there, okay? Now, if you're seeing this inconsistency in this long stuff here in the front, don't worry, that's the hook. We're gonna clean that up anyways. Perfect, so we've gone through and we've done our taper. Now we're gonna go through with our detailer, and we're just gonna clean around the ears and sharpen up our lines, okay? Okay, so this is what we call a line out, all right? Not everybody wants this, so be very particular and always ask someone if they want something sharp or something natural, okay? Now, if you're advanced at home, you already know that, but if you're teaching somebody, okay, this is a good video to show them the difference between what sharp and something natural might look like, okay? And the reality is we always wanna be asking in our consultation, once again, would you like something natural or would you like to see something cleaner, okay, or more aggressive, all right? So there's always words that we can be using, okay, that will kind of dictate what kind of line out or what kind of natural portions we're leaving to the hair, okay? Now with this detailing tool, you'll see as we work around the hook and around the ear, we're usually only using the corners. The only time we usually ever use the flat blade is probably in the back, okay? Okay, and as you can see, sometimes I'll use my hand, okay, as something to brace the clipper on, all right? Or I can use my fingers, or sometimes I'll hold it together, all right? So there's a lot of different options that we can use to brace ourselves. Now I feel like this is such a satisfying part of the actual haircut, okay? And the reality is because you get to really see things get clean and start to come together, right? So you can see the hook, it's nice and clean, the taper's starting to pop, okay? I'm still gonna do a little scissor over comb, but let's go and match both sides, okay? Okay, now one thing I want you to be very mindful as well is I'm never pushing the hairline back, okay? If there's a natural hairline, it's great to do a hook, okay? But be very mindful you're not pushing it too far back. And the reason being is because you're gonna go into the natural hairline and it might not grow out nicely, okay? Unless they really want something super aggressive, okay? Just be mindful, all right? Try to keep it as natural as possible unless requested otherwise, okay? Perfect, just gonna work around the ear now. Okay, and then just working into the back, cleaning up those lines. Beautiful, so our line out is done. Okay, it's nice and clean. I'm just gonna go through now and do some final details, so some scissor over comb and a little bit of personalizing. Perfect, so we've gone through, we've done our detailing, we've done our clipper work. It's looking fantastic. The only thing I'm still unhappy with is I just wanted to go through and I'm going to restyle the top, okay? I would like to bring out a little bit more of the natural curl, okay, because I think this is more of a wash and go. But again, we've added that professionalism, that edginess on the sides and the back, as you can see, and it's looking awesome. Okay, but the reality is I just want to go through, I'm just going to re-spritz it down, I'm going to add a different product, okay, and we're going to restyle, okay, just to bring that natural wave back up. So last but not least, I'm just going to add a little bit of the L'Oreal Transforming Cream from the Techniart line. This is amazing. It's just going to give me a little bit more hold, okay, and it's going to bring a little bit of the curl out. I'm just going to emulsify that in my hands, okay, and I'm going to scrunch, okay, and the reason I'm going to scrunch, all right, is because again, I want to bring out that natural curl, okay? Okay, and if you really want as well, you can go through with your wide tooth loose comb and you can just sort of break it up, okay, and start to place the hair in the directions that you want it to go. Okay, because once we put this diffuser on our blow dryer, we're no longer going to touch the hair. Because what happens with curly hair is if we touch it, it'll start to frizz, and that's the last thing we want. We don't want it to expand with frizziness, we want it to expand with volume, okay, and showcasing the shape. So we've re-spritzed the hair, okay, just saturating it again. I'm just gonna go through with my styling brush just throughout the sides here, but I'm gonna diffuse the top. Okay, spinning him around, just hitting the other side lightly, just placing that hair where I want it to be. So we're working with curly hair, like I said, we're gonna move to our diffuser, all right? Now, if you're not familiar with this tool, what this tool does is it disperses air, okay, at low power, all right? But the reality is if we were just to hit it with a blow dryer, it's gonna move the hair all over and it's gonna make it frizzy. This is more concentrated, okay? So it's slow release and it concentrates air on areas to dry, okay? So, like I said prior, the more we touch it, the frizzier it gets, okay? So let's just try to be mindful, okay? And you wanna have sort of a counting process. I call it the Mississippi process. I only count 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, and then I move, okay? And so on and so forth, okay? Again, I'm in a rhythm, okay? Now, if you do plan on touching the hair and manipulating it, try to keep a comb handy, okay? I find it to be much more convenient, okay? Within styling, okay? So I'm gonna go to high heat, low speed. Now, as the hair starts to dry, you can start to place the hair. Perfect, so we're all styled up. All I'm gonna go through now is use my straight razor and I'm gonna lightly touch up the hairline. Okay, just to make that pop a little bit more. Okay, as you can see, I'm stretching the skin just to get that nice and taut. Okay, it's really making that line out a lot more predominant. Okay, and then last but not least, I'm just gonna dry shave the back here. You have to be careful. Some people can take a dry shave, others cannot, okay? Right, if they feel like they have sensitive skin, might not be the best bet to dry shave them. Okay, perfect. Okay, and the last thing I'm gonna finish with is a little bit of air fix, okay? And the reason being, if he's going outside, if he's going to an event, okay? If the wind hits this, maybe we wanna keep it in place. So all I'm gonna do from a distance, and just let that hairspray fall, okay? I'm not going direct on it because it's gonna make it look greasy. The other trick that you can do is you can spray it in the palms of your hands, okay? You can do a little bit of a clap and you can tap it, okay? And that's when you can kind of go through and slowly pick little bits out to sort of accent that shape, okay? Now, one last trick. When I did my blow dry, I did not blow dry this completely 100% dry. I left it anywhere from 90% dry to 95% dry, leaving a tiny bit of moisture. And the reason being we left moisture in there is because if we go too dry, that's when it will frizz, okay? So let's just go through the haircut and we'll do a quick recap. So I hope you enjoyed the curly hair tutorial, all right? So I want you to be very mindful about working with this hair. Again, always overcompensate a little bit when stretching the hair so that you don't go too short. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a quick recap of what we worked with today, okay? So once again, we worked with our cross graduation through the sides into the back on both sides, all right? We then brought our cross graduation out as our profile guide, brought that out completely square, followed that to the front, okay? But don't forget, we then turned just our front section triangular to retain this length in the front. We then used that profile guide on each zone, on zone 1 and zone 2, working square, everything to the previous, and then when we got to the front, over directing back towards the apex to retain that length in the front. Again, we worked both sides that way, okay? Then, after that, we worked through with our clipper work with the grain just to remove that bulk because we were extremely happy with our scissor work. We just wanted to remove a little bit of weight, okay? We then took our balding clipper and we just balled it in throughout the temple here and in throughout the nape to add our borders for our skin taper. All right, and then all we did is we worked through with our guard system, moving from number 3 all the way down to 0, just to blend out those lines, okay? The last thing we did was we went through and we detailed, obviously around the ears and the lineup, okay? As well as we did a little scissor over comb and a little personalization throughout the haircut. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Again, this is a very easy, classic style that you're gonna see in the salon a lot, okay? And again, at home, if you don't completely understand the technical aspects, all you have to understand is follow my positions, okay? Watch what I'm doing and mimic me. I hope you guys learned something and we'll catch you on the next tutorial.